Hi, I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, another hearing about San Onofre, but there are questions about the state agency holding the hearing tonight.
And I'm Peggy Pico. Also ahead, why some same-sex couples in San Diego want to be included in the immigration reform bill. Then I'll have details on the competing plans for fixing California's water supply from the Delta.
And a historic ship is being resurrected along the San Diego coast. We'll show you the progress on the San Salvador. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by Hello and thanks for joining us. Another public hearing tonight about the San Onofre nuclear plant. This one focuses on the costs of the ongoing shutdown, but the agency holding it is getting some scrutiny in a state audit. Analysts say the Public Utilities Commission has suffered a breakdown in fiscal control. Our North County Bureau Chief, Allison St. John, is in the news center to break down this complicated story. Allison, some San Diego ratepayers are testifying at this public hearing in Costa Mesa, but now we hear the agency representing ratepayers is under investigation. What's going on?
Well, just this week, the state legislative analyst said it wants an audit of the CPUC, which oversees hundreds of millions of dollars of ratepayer funds. A senior analyst with the Legislative Analyst Office told me an earlier audit of the Public Utilities Commission that came out last month uncovered, quote, significant weaknesses in the CPUC's budgeting practices. She said there were cases of fiscal mismanagement in which transactions were not being recorded, transactions up to $275 million. Now, because that audit raised concerns about the Public Utility Commission's internal bookkeeping, they're worried about how the agency is overseeing its external accounts that are held by utilities like Southern California Edison. Those so-called balancing accounts are set up by the utilities to pay for activities like new steam generators. So this is relevant to the issues being raised at today's hearing in Costa Mesa.
And how might this play into the Public Utility Commission hearing today?
Well, the CPUC is investigating whether ratepayers should continue to pay for the faulty steam generators when, in fact, the plant's been offline for more than a year and no power has been produced. One of the arguments from the city attorney, former city attorney Mike Aguirre, is that Edison should never have been allowed to start charging ratepayers for those steam generators because the operator, Edison, failed to follow procedures to justify charging ratepayers for the new equipment. Now, that argument becomes stronger if it turns out that the CPUC had lax oversight of those balancing accounts managed by the utilities that contained hundreds of millions of ratepayer dollars. Some of the other testimony, by the way, at this afternoon's hearing is focusing on what Edison has spent on emergency procedures. Edison says it's justifiable to spend ratepayer dollars on emergency preparedness, but critics are saying their emergency preparedness plan is ineffective, and that, in fact, evacuation is impossible. You simply could not evacuate 8 million people from around the plant.
And, of course, the PUC still has to schedule hearings in San Diego. Our North County Bureau Chief, Allison St. John. Now, a congressman says Southern California Edison may have violated federal securities laws by not giving investors information about San Onofre's steam generators. Massachusetts Democrat Ed Markey says Edison knew about design flaws in the generators and should have disclosed them. In a letter to the Securities and Exchange Commission, Markey says not disclosing the information violates the Securities Act. Edison says it did not know of any problems with the generators before they were installed. The hidden funds case in the California Parks Department has sparked a criminal investigation tonight by the state attorney general. The Parks Department was shaken up last year, if you recall, when millions of dollars were found hidden in secret accounts. While people lost their jobs, no charges have been filed, but the attorney general's office says the case is still under criminal review. 8 days left before, or rather until, sequestration or across-the-board federal spending cuts. Today, President Obama was on the phone with Republican leaders talking about the deadline, his first calls, by the way, to them in weeks. The White House says he had good conversations with House Speaker John Boehner and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, but no word tonight on what was said. Republicans and Democrats are in a stalemate over how to avoid the cuts. House Democrats held a special hearing on sequestration today, and they blasted the lack of action.
There are many responsible solutions to this problem. We think we have the best one. But it is absolutely irresponsible and indefensible not to try to solve the problem at all. And that is where we sit today.
Without a deal to reduce the deficit, $85 billion in cuts are scheduled to take effect on March 1st. The president wants a combination of tax increases and targeted spending cuts, but Republicans are refusing to raise taxes. California will be getting a big payout from the nation's major mortgage lenders. We're just learning the state's share of the settlement will be more than $20 billion, the largest of any state. The money comes from 5 banks. It will go to help about 175,000 California homeowners struggling to pay their mortgage. A follow-up on a story we brought you last night about the debate over Quarry Creek, a development project in Carlsbad. There was a full house at a meeting last night, a public meeting, so the Planning Commission is going to hold another one next month. Hundreds of homes are proposed for an old rock quarry site south of Highway 78. The homes meet the city's requirement for affordable housing, but opponents are concerned the developer wants to build additional homes where a historic hacienda still sits. For the first time since Governor Brown began his latest term, his approval rating has passed the 50% mark. A new field poll out finds 57% of registered voters think the Democratic governor is doing a good job. 31% disapprove. When it comes to state lawmakers, the survey finds 36% of voters approved of their job performance. That's the highest rating since 2008. The governor's $14 billion proposal to fix Southern California's water supply problems is being challenged by several San Diego groups. Peggy Pico is back and has more about an alternative plan.
The debate over how to fix supply and environmental problems of the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta has been going on for decades. The Delta provides up to a third of Southern California's water supply. Here with more details about the issue is my guest, Barry Nelson, with the Water Program for Natural Resources Defense Council. Barry, thanks for joining us. Now, California's water delivery system has undergone various legal and legislative battles for years. Why is it important to do something right now?
Really 2 reasons. First, water is the lifeblood of California's economy. Our farms and our cities need reliable water supplies. But there's another reason, and that is the Delta right now has a particular set of problems that really have reached a crisis point. On the one hand, its ecosystem has completely fallen apart to the point where it's costing salmon fishermen their jobs. The ecosystem is in dire trouble. And the levee structure itself, the levees that protect this 1,000-mile maze of islands, is in danger of collapsing if we don't do something to manage that system. So it really is urgent that we find a solution to the Delta now.
Governor Brown, Jerry Brown, proposed a $14 billion plan to build a couple of massive tunnels. Let's listen to what he has to say from his state of address last month about this issue.
My proposed plan is 2 tunnels, 30 miles long and 40 feet wide, designed to improve the ecology of the Delta with almost 100 square miles of habitat restoration.
Okay, so it seems like the ultimate goal here is the same: reliable water supply, restore the ecology of the Delta. So what do you think is wrong with the governor's plan?
Well, the fundamental concern is that's an enormously expensive facility, $14 billion just for those 2 twin tunnels. And we don't know exactly how much water those tunnels would take. So from an environmental perspective, we don't know what environmental impact they would have. And from a water user perspective...
As if they could be taking too much water.
It could take too much water. And the flip side of that coin is water users don't know what they get for their investment. If they pay for that $14 billion facility, how much water will they get from that? We don't have answers to that right now.
And that's, you're talking about like San Diego County Water Authority, local water authorities.
Right.
Okay.
That Bay Delta is a source of about, well, a quarter to a third of Southern California's water supply. It's an important supply.
And we're showing it. It's just a massive undertaking as it is right now as far as the Delta goes and getting water from up north down here to Southern California. What is your plan, your alternative plan as it's being called?
Well, it's pretty simple. What we've proposed that we look at, it's really a concept. We're seeing whether a different approach is promising. We focused rather than on a big delta, a big facility on a smaller facility, which saves billions of dollars that we can then spend elsewhere. So some we could spend on levee improvements to try to prevent levee failure, but most of that money would be spent in places like San Diego and things like water recycling, water conservation, things that the San Diego County Water Authority is already planning to do. And we think that portfolio, that broader approach, might produce more water for water users at less cost with better environmental results.
So specifically, instead of 2 large tunnels, 1 tunnel.
Right.
Do you think that would supply enough water?
We actually think that by the, remember that there are 2 sources of supply here. One is the amount of water we pump from the Delta. We'd pump a little bit less. We don't know how much less until the state does the analysis. We'd probably pump a little bit less than that big facility, but if we invest the savings from that small facility in local recycling and efficiency, we'll get a lot of water that is not vulnerable to climate change or failures in delta levees or dry years. So we think the supply from those 2 sources would be more through a portfolio approach.
What are the next steps here? How long do you think before there's going to be a decision made?
Well, the reason we came out with this proposal now is that right now the state is right in the middle of doing its final analysis to try to develop their plan. We expect that draft plan in 4 months, 5 months. So this really is the critical time for the state to take this proposal up and analyze it side by side with the proposal for that big tunnel, the big tunnels, and see which approach performs better.
All right, Barry Nelson, thanks so much for talking with us about this.
Thanks for having me, Peggy.
Things are getting back to normal at Balboa Park's Lily Pond, damaged last summer during an out-of-control late-night water gun fight. The Friends of Balboa Park have been working to repair the damage. On Monday, they'll celebrate the completion of the $50,000 job. Dozens of sailors and concerned citizens spent the morning picking up trash along San Diego's Silver Strand. KPBS business and environment reporter Eric Anderson says the cleanup is part of a larger effort to protect a couple of endangered birds.
Crews scouring the ocean side of the Strand in Coronado picked up everything from cigarette butts to digging out a large metal wire buried in the sand. The cleanup is about more than just picking up trash. The EPA's Catherine Weiler says she's hoping to figure out the source.
Where you want to move past just picking up the number of marine debris items and look to source identification so that we can begin to better prevent the problem.
Identifying where it comes from can help keep the trash from ending up here. And that's great news for 2 endangered birds. This long spit of sandy beach is a nursery for 2 ground nesting species, least terns and snowy plovers. Biologist Tiffany Shepard says least terns look for flat, sandy terrain.
The way they build their nest, it's called a scrape. So all they do is just create a little divot with their bodies in the sand, and then they lay their eggs right in that divot.
20% of the nation's least terns nest here, along with about 10% of snowy plovers. They thrive largely because of the Navy's efforts to protect them, because this area is also a busy training zone.
This area on the ocean side is strictly for military training only.
Keeping the region free of trash helps protect this sliver of habitat, considered crucial for their long-term survival. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments next month over California's same-sex marriage ban. Today, supporters of same-sex marriage filed their brief with the High Court, calling on the justices to uphold a ruling against the ban. They say Proposition 8 violates the Constitution, but supporters say the justices should allow public and political debate to continue rather than imposing a judicial solution. Thousands of same-sex couples say they want to be included in the nation's immigration reform bill as well. Peggy Pico explains why some married couples don't have green card benefits like others do.
Federal and state laws currently do not offer same-sex couples the same immigration benefits as they do heterosexual couples. KPBS Fronteras reporter Adrian Florido joins me to talk about his story on why LGBT couples say they should be included in the overhaul of the nation's immigration laws. Adrian, thanks for joining us here to talk about your story. Now, most of us know one fast-track way to get a green card is to marry a U.S. citizen. So how come that same action doesn't apply to same-sex married couples?
Well, it's because of something called the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, which is a law that was passed in the mid-90s, that for the purposes of the more than 1,000 federal benefits that apply to married couples, defines marriage as between only a man and a woman. So all of these benefits, one of which is the right to petition for your immigrant spouse to get permanent residency. These don't apply to same-sex couples.
How many married couples right now in the U.S. are affected by this?
UCLA researchers recently did a study analyzing census data from 2010 and found that there are probably somewhere around 40,000 couples affected by this. So we're talking about couples where one partner is a U.S. citizen, the other partner is an immigrant who doesn't have permanent residency. So they might be on a temporary visa, they might be undocumented, but regardless, they risk being separated by immigration law once that temporary visa expires, or if an undocumented person gets caught up in deportation proceedings for whatever reason.
And you heard about this firsthand in your story. You talked with a local married couple where they are at serious risk of being separated. Tell us their story.
Right. So I spoke with a couple, Jesus Rodriguez and William Wood. They met in Atlanta in 2009. Last year, William Wood got into a master's program here at UC San Diego. Jesus, his partner, moved out first to get a head start settling in. But on Labor Day weekend, he got caught up in a traffic checkpoint, got arrested because he didn't have a license, and called his spouse, William, from the detention center. Turned out Jesus was undocumented because he'd overstayed a visa in the mid-90s, but he'd never told William this. So now he's facing deportation, and they hired a lawyer to apply for a stay of deportation in his case. In the meantime, he's got a court hearing next month, but in the meantime, they traveled to Washington, D.C. to get married.
Okay, but the issue with that is same-sex marriage is not recognized by the federal government, so is that going to help them at all?
Right, so not immediately, right, but the reason, and I asked them this, the reason that they went to D.C. to get married was that they wanted to be prepared just in case, because they're hoping that one of three things will happen before Jesus is forced to leave the country. Either in an immigration reform bill, there will be a path to citizenship or some kind of legalization for the 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S., which would allow him to stay because he's undocumented. There would be language included in an immigration reform bill that would specifically allow same-sex couples to petition for their immigrant spouses, or the Defense of Marriage Act, which imposes all these restrictions on federal benefits, will be overturned because it's being considered by the Supreme Court right now, and a ruling is expected in June. So they're hoping one of those three things will happen to allow Jesus to stay before he's forced to leave.
The Defense of Marriage Act, that was back in the 90s, correct, when that was written. But since then, and even before then, these issues of immigration and same-sex marriage, extremely controversial. How likely do you think it is that any of this will actually make it into the immigration overhaul? Right,
so one of the big hurdles facing an immigration reform bill at all is the fact that conservative lawmakers may oppose it. Senator John McCain, who's on this bipartisan team of senators hashing out an immigration reform bill, addressed this issue recently when someone asked him whether LGBT immigration rights should be included in a reform bill. And this is what he said.
Which is more important, LGBT or border security? Huh? I'll tell you what my priorities are. So, again, if you're going to load it up with social issues, that is the best way to derail it, in my view.
So here he is saying, you know, social issues, but immigration is also a social issue.
Right, so what he's saying is that, well, that's true. And what he's saying is basically, this is already so controversial, and there's going to be so much resistance on Capitol Hill that if we add an even more controversial issue like LGBT rights, or an equally controversial like LGBT rights, then you run the risk of derailing any kind of immigration reform at all. There's going to be some hashing out that needs to be done in the next couple of months.
Losing everything. All right. Well, thank you so much for your report, and folks at home can see the whole thing on our website, kpbs.org. Adrian, thanks so much.
Thanks, Peggy.
It's a little behind schedule, but tomorrow, San Diego Mayor Bob Filner will open a new binational affairs office in Tijuana. He originally hoped to have it open at the beginning of this month. The office will be used to promote business opportunities and collaboration in arts and culture. During his campaign, Filner called for improved relations with Mexico. UC San Diego has signed a deal to offer free online courses to anyone in the world. You just need a computer and internet access. The university is working with Coursera, an online education provider specializing in massive online courses. There's no college credit, by the way, for Coursera's classes. UCSD's first class will come from its School of Pharmacy. Another sellout for Comic-Con. Despite problems with online badge sales, some customers got frozen screens while trying to buy their badges. Comic-Con organizers say they're investigating. The Summer Pop Culture Festival is San Diego's largest convention. It's happening in mid-July this year. A 16th century Spanish galleon is being resurrected along San Diego's waterfront. We first brought you the story last year. Tonight, 1 year later, KPBS video journalist Katie Ufrat brings us an update on the ship's progress.
It's a big day along the waterfront at Spanish Landing Park. The 2-year anniversary of this empty parking lot's transformation into a 16th century shipyard.
You know, something you don't see every day is a big old ship sitting out here in the parking lot, you know.
San Diego Maritime Museum employees, like lead shipwright Peter Wilson, began construction on the San Salvador 2 years ago today.
In the last year, we've made a lot of progress,
Employees have since been joined by hundreds of volunteers. In fact, volunteers now make up half the workforce.
There's some chain links over there that we've been working on. We're going to do about 5 more of them today.
Don Faulkner is a blacksmith who volunteers in the shipyard every Thursday. He uses techniques similar to those from the 1500s.
Okay, I think we'll call that macaroni. A lot of things I could do simpler and easier and quicker maybe, but it's not as fun.
They're building an historically accurate replica of the first ship to land on San Diego's shores. In 1542, explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo sailed the original San Salvador into what's now San Diego Bay. He claimed it for Spain, becoming the first European to set foot here. No original plans of the San Salvador exist, so naval architect Douglas Sharp says the design process has taken 10 years.
We looked at charts, ancient charts that had notions of what the ship would look like in the corners of the charts. We looked at votive models from cathedrals in Spain.
At this time last year, the ribs had all been placed. Now scaffolding has been added around the ship, and they're approaching a big milestone, the completion of the hull's frame. So what's left?
We obviously have to plank the outside of the boat, put the planking down on the decks, build up the sides, plank the sides. There's a lot of finishing work, which takes a lot of time.
The finished San Salvador will be more than 100 feet long, have a 100-foot tall mast, and weigh 200 tons. That's 170,000 pounds of lead and 230,000 pounds of wood. It's about 60% complete, with 20 to 30 people working on it daily. 500 years ago, Cabrillo built his ship in less than half the time, but he had the help of nearly 100 slaves.
We're actually working with a smaller crew than we originally envisioned, and we're taking longer to build the ship than we originally envisioned, but as a result, more people than we thought are getting a chance to see it. So we're quite happy with the pace of construction.
The replica was supposed to be finished by the end of this year. Now, Ashley hopes it will set sail in the first half of 2014. But first, they need to raise another $1.5 million. In all, the project is expected to cost $6.2 million. Once complete, the San Salvador will take paying customers on trips around the San Diego Bay and sailing up the California coast. For now, you can visit the shipyard every day between 11 and 4 to see the construction for yourself.
You come down, I'll get you right next to the ship. You put your hands on it, the ship will talk to you. It's a rare opportunity to not only experience shipbuilding, but experience the history of shipbuilding, the history of San Diego, why we're all here, and how we came to be here.
Katie Ufrat, KPBS News.
It's a boy. SeaWorld San Diego says they did DNA testing on the killer whale born on Valentine's Day. SeaWorld now has 5 male orcas and 5 female. There's no word yet on the name for the newest arrival. You can call him for now Baby Shamu. We've got some cooler temperatures ahead along the coast. Clouds for the next couple of days. May have even run into some showers today. Then sunshine on Sunday. Inland, more clouds, sunny and cooler in the mountains. The warmest temperatures will be in the desert. If you could turn back the clock a few years, there was a room in a building in Del Mar that was not a place where anybody would want to spend time. Back then, few people could have ever guessed what it has become today. Ken Kramer has the story in tonight's About San Diego.
There was a time when I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams could have guessed what this place down here would become. I say down here because there is also an upstairs, you see, and back in the old days, upstairs was, well...
The upstairs were apartments, and they were apartments that were occupied by rather unsavory ladies, should we say, ladies of the night.
That's Jim Watkins, who owns the building with the upstairs up there and the downstairs down here in a town with a lot of history, and that's important. You can look at photographs and see there used to be a pier, pretty nice one, 1,000 feet long, and also a place where people came down a long flight of stairs and swam in the natatorium, a shallow cement swimming pool in the ocean. You could go horseback riding. It was really something. Coney Island West, some people called it, and all of it just steps, really, from this place with the upstairs and the downstairs here, particularly this hall, which was where trash from upstairs was dumped. Here, I mean trash, in barrels and out, coffee grounds, egg cartons, banana peels, discarded copies of the San Diego Union, everything.
And they smelled. Not the Union, but yeah, it was a very smelly place for the garbage.
When Jim bought the place back in the 60s, he cleaned it up down here, of course, but here's where the story takes a little turn. This is the late Swede Thronason, a retired Marine colonel, teacher, partner in the building, and a huge fan of preserving history, who said, let's take all these great pictures and put them down here in this hallway. And so now, any day, every day, you can come here and see what Del Mar was like back in the day.
All the time to teach about the history of Del Mar here in this gallery, which used to be a garbage dump.
That's right, Del Mar, at what is one of the most familiar buildings in Southern California, 15th and Camino Del Mar, Stratford Square. You'll find it downstairs, full of history and a story, to be sure, about San Diego.
And if you want to see more of Ken's stories about San Diego, his half-hour show can be seen tonight and every Thursday night at 8 here on KPBS. You can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.